So I just got back from a 3-day caving exploration here in Phong Nha in central Vietnam, and this is home to dozens of caves, including the world's largest. So I'm going to be sharing with you my experience because I just got back. I'm pretty tired, but I want to share with you the full experience, our 3 days in the wilderness exploring the cave systems. So if you're coming to Vietnam and you're trying to figure out if caving is for you, I hope this video details the full experience and helps you decide whether or not to put this on your bucket list. You should definitely put this on your bucket list. So firstly, let's talk about the company that I used. I used Oxalis. There are a few other companies in this area, but this is by far the biggest and by far the most reputable. They have over 600 staff. They're based in the town, family run, and they work in conjunction with the local people, the military. So therefore, the whole experience is run very efficiently, very environmentally friendly, and they have the whole nature and caving systems at their core. So by far, I really recommend Oxalis. The exact tour that I went on was called the Wild To Lan expedition. It was 3 days and 2 nights in the wilderness. Overall, it included about 17 kilometers of trekking, multiple kilometers of caving and swimming, and it was a moderate to high level of difficulty. For me, as a 36-year-old fit and healthy man, I'd say it was quite difficult and very physically exhausting, especially on day 3. But as you'll see in this video, the people that I went with, they had never done any trekking or caving in their life. They were fresh out of the city, and even though it was very difficult for them, they made it. So yeah, just bear that in mind when you're looking to book these tours. Make sure you're physically able to do some of the stuff, because as you'll see in this video, it's very physical. Oh, the bats are everywhere, aren't they? Bloody hell. Don't drink the water, you're gonna get sick. I paid 7.2 million Vietnamese dong. That was for a single tent and 1 person. That included all of my food, which I'll share with you, the transfer to get to and back from the caving systems, and obviously all the guides and everything, which I'll go into now. Say hello to Min, our guide.
Hi everyone!
He's a good lad. He's given us a good briefing. And we've lucked out with the weather so far. And a couple of porters to help carry some of this stuff, and your own chef. And so you feel quite fancy going off into the jungle with not just a guide, but a team of people around you. So it's quite nice to, you know, go off into this expedition, leave the countryside with a group of you, not just a guide, but some porters to help carry the heavy loads, and obviously a chef, so that when we're jumping into the caves and exploring, having fun for hours on end, they go around to the campsite ahead of us and prepare some delicious food. Again, I'll share all of this in a second. So let's talk about gear. It's very, very important that you have the right gear, and if you don't have the right gear, don't worry, there are plenty of opportunities for you to purchase the correct gear in Oxalis at the headquarters, right at the beginning of the trail. I needed to get long sleeve shirts. Instead, I ended up just buying some cheap arm coverings. And I needed to get some long pants, some quick dry pants. There's a lot of poison ivy, lots of rocks, and lots of sun, so they enforce the long pants and long sleeve shirts. They'll also give you amazing gloves, which help with so many things, including the sharp rocks and things. These gloves are amazing, by the way. You can grab onto everything. You're not gonna get a spike or a thorn come through. Makes these rough rocks feel like marble. Good gear. And they'll give you a backpack to carry your valuables and things that you need on hand. All of your dry clothes and other things that you might need for the tour, that goes ahead with the porters. So you're only carrying things that you need on hand, like mosquito spray, sunscreen, maybe your camera, maybe your phone, things like that. And all of that's kept waterproof inside your bag. Once you have everything ready and the group is ready, it's time to leave the base camp and head into the wilderness. So my group was 9 strong, me and 1 foreigner, a girl from Italy, who was a very enthusiastic, outdoorsy type of person. She does lots of trekking in Taiwan, and she was very experienced and super strong and physically ready for this trip. And then we had 8 young Vietnamese professional people. They all worked in the cities. They had never done any trekking. They had never done any jungle experiences. They'd never done any caving. So this was their first ever time, jumping in the deep end. They were really, really lovely. And together with our guide, Min, we set off, and it was such beautiful weather on day 1. So let's talk about what to expect on the first day. And let me show you some of the incredible scenes. And then after we crossed the river, it was about an hour and a half trekking through the forest to get to our first cave.
But we don't do it for the customer, because actually
The first cave was beautiful, and it was quite technical because we had to do a 15-meter steep ladder climb using ropes.
1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Got it.
We're going to go through our first cave. There's going to be 6 caves. This is the first one. And apparently it's just a step down into a boat, and then we're going to take the boat to our campsite. Similar to abseiling, except instead of abseiling you're just going down a ladder, but it was very, very steep, slippy, covered in water because obviously we're in a cave whilst it's moisture and everything, so a bit slippy, very, very, very steep, dark, and very fun, but obviously very safe with all of the helmets and ropes. We were in good safety land. Once we made it through some of the most beautiful cave systems I'd ever seen, we then got onto a raft and we rafted downriver to our first campsite, which was beautiful. Let me give you a tour of the campsite. Oh, rapids. Okay, welcome to camp for day 1. This is where we're going to be sleeping. We're going to stop here, have lunch, and then we're going to climb up, visit another cave, climb back down, and this is where we'll sleep. So here is our bags and life jackets. Here's where the chef has been making our lunch. He got here a few hours earlier, I think, because he's taking a nap. And here's the camp. So we'll be sleeping here, and here's our lunch in the shade. I'll show you my tent later when I check in. Got some drying racks for our wet clothes. Day 1 is a dry day. We're not swimming in the caves, but tomorrow we will be, all day. This is the path to the toilet, which has plastic bag linings to keep the snakes and bugs out. Now this is a compost toilet, so there's no water involved. But this is rice, and you do your business in there and then you put the rice on top. They have toilet paper, and outside they do have a washing your hands station. So after lunch we didn't have any time to rest. Even though we were quite tired, it was now time for a very, very steep climb up into the jungle to the entrance of the second cave. This climb was very, very difficult, very, very hot, and pushed the group. It was the first big test. The first morning, kind of walking through the flat countryside, a couple of steep climbs, but nothing too serious. This was an hour and a half up like this in a very hot, humid, mosquito filled, bug filled, spider filled jungle, and it was brilliant. Hi. Sweaty mess. It's very, very uphill, but of course, very, very beautiful, very, very fun. Once we got into the second cave, this was a lot more claustrophobic, a lot of tight squeezes. This is pushing me. Traversing this cave was much more difficult and pace was very slow. And this is where I started to see the gap in experience. So the people from Vietnam who'd never done this before, they were really, really unsteady on their feet, and so they just preferred to go down on their butt. They would just go down on their ass and drag themselves across the floor, going down steep and slippy rocks, which is fine, but it just took a long, long time. So I think this is the first time that I noticed on our tour that, you know, having a group of complete novices versus people like me and the Italian girl who'd done this before and were willing to kind of get a move on, we had to go slow because you can only go as fast as your slowest member, which in our case was quite slow. So there was a lot of waiting around in the cave, but whenever I started to feel a little bit annoyed about waiting every 10 minutes for the people to catch up, I realized I'm in a dark cave with a head lamp and I can look around and it's beautiful. Oh, I didn't see you here. Hello. Oh, you like to go butt first, don't you? Muddy, muddy, muddy. We are very muddy. Me and the Italian girl, whenever we were waiting for the group, yeah, we just would go off and explore a little bit by ourselves and remember that we're going to be going slow no matter what. So enjoy it. This is like the surface of Mars. The highlight, by the way, for me on this entire trip was in this second cave on day one. We saw these formations on the ground. They looked like little statues, little figurines of like a Mother Nature's game of Warhammer. And she had hand painted and crafted every single one of these little formations. And there was thousands and thousands of them, all in their own little area. And the coolest part was our guide, Min, told us that scientists don't know how they are formed. They don't know. They can't explain it. And I just loved that. I thought that was amazing because to me, it looked like aliens had come here and made like a army of little stalactites and stalagmites. And it was just amazing to look at. And the fact that scientists don't know what it is or how it was formed just blew my mind. And that was the highlight for me. There's a frog making the most amazing sound. It sounds like a beacon from an alien spaceship or something. We're trying to find the spaceship, but it's the frog. It's amazing. Whoa. That's a frog.
Really?
Yeah.
They say it's a bird.
No, it's a frog.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Min told me. Big spiders. Oh, that's tight. Oh, God. No fatties allowed in this cave. Okay, I am officially a ridiculously sweaty mess and the mosquitoes are all over the camera lens and probably all over me. Me and Kiara, the Italian girl, we got past the Vietnamese and kind of trail ran down the hill. Took us about half an hour. It was so much fun. One of the best workouts I've done. Oh, there's a current. Nice. This is nice.
Cá.
It's not cold.
Bấy chó.
How do you say not cold in Vietnamese? Không lạnh. Then it was time for dinner, and as you can see, every meal we had was great and varied. We never ate the same dish. The cooks rustled up these amazing pork dishes, tofu dishes, lots of fresh greens and vegetables, rice, which you absolutely devour because you need the carbs. You've just exerted 3,000, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 calories during the day, so you're very hungry. And they have happy water, which is Vietnamese rice whiskey, if you do like a tipple, and lots of water obviously. And then after dinner we gazed up at the stars and played some campsite music and had a chat and just watched shooting stars and satellites passing across the sky. Absolutely incredible. And then it was time for an early night because we were knackered. Day 2, we woke up in paradise and early start, sunrises, people wake up early, the chef's cooking. You're not gonna be able to lie in. You're gonna be up at 6, easy. And delicious breakfast, and then it was time to get excited because day 2 is the wet day. So this means we are gonna be wet from start to finish, soaking wet all day. Whether it's raining or not, we're in the caves, we're swimming, we're gonna be soaked. Okay, are we ready to get wet?
No, yeah, I already wet.
Very excited bunch. And so it was great just to get started and get our life jackets on and immediately get into the river and start swimming downstream towards the first cave of day 2.
Cái giày nó nặng quá. Giày nặng vãi. Ôi. Dính cái phiến đá rồi.
There was lots of climbing, lots of caving, obviously, and scrambling over really beautiful formations and little waterfalls. And there's a river flowing from here into the cave. I don't know if we're going to swim or raft. We have a rope if we need it. To get from the first cave to the second, we had an incredible 1-hour jungle trek. It was obviously through the jungle, but there were so many river crossings and difficult technical, like crossing over a waterfall with running water and people slipping and stuff, and it was so much fun. And whenever the group got tired or we wanted to take a break, we could do by lying in the river next to the waterfall, getting a massage from the water crashing over the rocks, just having the time of our life. The weather was beautiful, there was butterflies and dragonflies flying around us. Oh, so nice. The second cave of day 2 was a huge cave that included a 300-meter swim. So downstream with a life jacket, it's not physically exhausting, but there was a couple of people who were really uncomfortable with swimming, so they did jump on a raft. And that was kind of good because later on, after I was pretty knackered and I started to hit a current, I was able to get a ride. I really wish I could get a taxi. Oh, here we go.
Bây giờ mình swim nhé.
Bây giờ mình swim, bây giờ mình đi lại coi rồi.
Đây.
And then after that cave, it was time to swim back, enjoy fooling around by the campsite, more swimming, more chilling out, and then more delicious food for dinner, more happy water, listen to an audiobook in the tent, stargazing, early night, we were knackered, and then it was time to wake up on day 3. Day 3 was the most tiring. The group was a little bit broken by this point. Physically, our legs and back and arms were very tired from 2 days of full trekking and caving and climbing and things. So this is the day I had the least amount of footage because I was knackered and it was difficult. Day 3 was difficult. After breakfast, we had a 3-hour trek through the steepest part of the whole experience. It was really difficult. 3 or 4 big climbs and steep descents and difficult descents as well. You know, like you're on a rock face and you're climbing down, and yeah, it was really physically demanding, extremely hot, very humid, lots of bugs. We couldn't stop for snacks, or we were supposed to get like a mid-morning snack, but there was just so many bugs and mosquitoes, we just had to keep going and pushing. So we went about 3 or 4 hours without really having a break other than just a quick drink of water here and there. After a very hot and difficult 3-hour plus trek through the jungle, we made it to the last cave of the day. It was a dry cave, it was called the Rat Cave, and it was a bit of a non-event. It was muddy and it was like the worst cave of the trip, basically, and I'm glad they saved it till last. We just walked through it. It was nowhere near as interesting as the other caves, so yeah, wasn't the best. But then after that, another highlight was we were right at the end. We knew we were about a couple of kilometers away from base camp, and once we got to the river where we had to first cross on the raft, the water was lower by this point, so we could cross. And even though we were supposed to having a dry day, we were so hot and we were so happy to have accomplished this mission that we all just started playing and swimming in the river together. And I felt that that was the time that the group was really together. We'd really bonded and made like a tight bond because we pushed ourselves physically. Then we got a ride back to base camp where they have hot showers, a delicious lunch, cold beer waiting for you that is included in the price, and then we got a ride back to town, and that was our caving experience in Phong Nha. It was absolutely incredible. So take a look at Oxalis website, it's linked below if you're interested. Like I said, loads of tours for you to check out. They're not paying me to talk about them. I paid to go on this tour and just wanted to share with you all the ups and downs. I think 3 days was the perfect amount. A 4th day would have killed me, but I think 2 days wouldn't have been enough. So I think the 3-day was just the right sweet spot. Day 3 was really hard, but I feel good now. This is the next day and I'm fine and I'm raring to go. And thanks for watching. If you're new, by the way, I'm driving a motorbike all the way through Vietnam. I bought it in Hanoi and I'm driving to Saigon. So lots of videos on this channel about my trip in Vietnam and loads in Thailand, and yeah, loads more adventures to come. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna hit the road tomorrow and the adventures continue.